Can hear me?
Now we can hear you. So I am going to record this, Jennifer, if that's okay with you.
Yep.
And what's your puppy's name?
His name is Sora, and I have two other ones that will run through here during this. So just get ready for them.
Cool. So I was telling him while we were waiting for you that you were the ED, the Executive Director for Florida for Good, and you help Florida small businesses become B Corps, and also you connect students with internships with social and sustainable enterprises here in Florida. Where I didn't get to is Jennifer has just won a very big recognition at USASB, which is the United States Association of Small Business and Entrepreneurship. And yes, big hand clapping from Shane there. Everybody's hand clapping. As Jennifer, I'm probably going to butcher that. Was it Social Entrepreneur of the Year or Influencer or?
Yeah, it was Social Entrepreneur. Yep.
Social Entrepreneur of the Year. So she, I don't know if you know this, but she's kind of a big deal. So we're really excited about having you, and I'm sure you're going to tell us a lot more about Florida for Good. So we appreciate you taking the time. And just to let you know, I have 3 other classes that I'll be showing this video to as well. So it'll have quite a bit of reach. So I'll shut up because you guys didn't come here to hear me. By the way, this is the first time I've ever actually seen their faces. So this is pretty exciting for me. And it's the first time they've seen my face, and I'm sure that's really terrifying, and they're going to need therapy for years now. So, all right, Jennifer, take it away.
Okay. Yeah, so Mark and I met actually on that award call. It's like this nationwide award, and it's so crazy. Of all the places, we're both in Florida, but of all the places to meet is on this national call. And so we connected after that, and here we are. So you guys are all, are you grad or undergrad?
Undergrad.
Okay, good. And have you, in this class or any other classes, have you all learned about B Corp certification? I'm just trying to gauge of how much I should detail. Okay, good, perfect.
You're the introduction.
Nice. Well, then I'm going to get started. And Mark, can you enable me to share my screen, please? And then we'll get going. And it's really nice. Thank you. It's nice.
You're in the driver's seat.
Perfect. It's nice to see all you guys. I've got 2 boys, and they're about your age. So I really love talking to students and stuff. I'm just super comfortable with it. So thank you for having me here today. So my PowerPoint, I'm going to start with this. So Florida for Good, that's my day job. That's what I work 9 to 5 in. And this is an organization, like Mark said, it helps companies inside Florida to become more sustainable, to help them just have better business operations. So they could be a social enterprise, they could be a B Corp company, they could be a conscious capitalism member, they could be a 1% for the planet member. Really, any business that wants to do good or wants to learn how to become better, then they come to Florida for Good. And I'm going to talk more about that at the end. Right now, at the starting gate, I want to talk about like conscious business. So here are, you're going to find a lot of stats out there, and most of them are all centered around the fact that people are demanding better. They want to know that the products they're buying are coming from responsible companies. They want to know that they're not being greenwashed, and they're just demanding that companies step up and do the right thing, basically. So with these logos that you see near the bottom, in the last 20 years, there's been a number of certifications that have popped up that are really good. And if they're third-party verified, then they're very good. So you'll probably recognize like LEED certified for buildings. You probably are familiar with USDA organic. You've seen that in the stores on produce, vegetables, whatever. You've seen any Energy Star on your dishwashers, stuff like that. And these are all very good certifications, but they are for a specific thing. So that's why there's so many of them, because they're just very specific to what they are certifying. So then fast forward to our century, B Corp certified came out about 10 or 15 years ago, and they are third-party verified. And what B Corp is, it encompasses all of these other certifications. So if your company is B Corp certified, that means that your company possibly has a LEED certified building. It means that you are using Energy Star appliances in your office building. It means that when you have office parties, you're buying USDA organic food. It means all of these other certifications are put all into one. So that's a very small snapshot of B Corp certification, and we'll get more into that. But I wanted to talk more about, greenwashing. And greenwashing is huge and it's very relevant because companies are looking at those stats and they are seeing that people are demanding better from companies. So you'll know that in like Nestle. Nestle has done some pretty exploitive things. So Nestle is trying to change their messaging to make people buy their products, and they're sometimes not that truthful. And so that's what you call greenwashing. And I sometimes get caught up in it too. And this next video that I want to play for you guys is kind of funny, but it's so true. And I see it still today. And when I go through the grocery stores, when you see that word like all natural.
The false advertising industry has been behind almost every major breakthrough in advertising. We invented subliminal advertising, the classic before and after. You can't put a price on that dream. Who doesn't want to bake? But our latest breakthrough has been more effective at reaching both men and women than we could have ever imagined. We call it, you ready? The natural effect. I'd like to say that creating the natural label is an art, but it's not. It's just not. Your product may contain growth hormones and antibiotics. Just throw that word natural on there. Maybe add a picture of a barn. By adding natural to your package, you increase purchase intent, and then people think you're just as healthy as organic. We pride ourselves on this kind of confusion. Your product may be very heavily processed, but what, a barn? It works every time. We have a standard application form that we send to companies to see if their product is a good candidate for the word natural. Pretty simple. Do you wish your product were natural? Now, the beauty is there are literally hundreds of chemicals, persistent pesticides, and GMOs that the FDA does not object to when using the word natural. Oh no, we have a reject. Oh, nope, this is just in the wrong bin. Oh, phew, it's close. There are those who may question the effectiveness of the natural label. Believe me, we tested more truthful alternatives, all right? Somebody wants to buy chips that are kind of natural. Yogurt with one thing natural. 10% natural salad dressing. Made with partially natural stuff. Not effective, but all the work that we did do wasn't a complete waste of time because we were able to come up with some very powerful modifiers. All natural. And his big brother, 100% natural. And now we're coming up with ways to make 100% natural a little better. We're taking it to a whole another level. Scientists were recently able to take the the genes from bug-killing bacteria and cross them with the genes of corn to make the corn pest-resistant. It's true, totally true. You can Google it. I know some people are like, ah, that is disgusting. How dare, what on, oh. They think it's unnatural. Well, right now it's on the shelves as 100% natural. So, but if you ask me, by genetically combining two organisms, that's 200% natural. Food companies come in here and they think they have all sorts of problematic issues, right? They're worried that their product is so processed that it bears no resemblance to anything actually found in nature, right? It's full of hormones or chemicals or ingredients that nobody can pronounce, not even them. I love to see the look on their face when I tell them, hey, you know what? None of that matters. We can put the natural label on pretty much anything. Although my favorite part is when I show them what their packaging will look like with the natural label. I love helping people. It makes me feel like we're a nonprofit, only totally for profit. Money, money, money. But helping is that's the best part.
So isn't that crazy? And when you go to Publix now, you'll still see it everywhere.
The false advertising.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
One of the assignments that they just completed is called ESG or ESGBS. And their assignment is to go to Publix and take pictures of different claims on products that companies are making and then research it, and then they do a presentation on their products if it's true or if it's BS.
Oh my gosh, this is perfect then. Great timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the BS ones are anything that says all natural, and you see it's on the shelves constantly. And then if you pick a product like Ben & Jerry's ice cream and you see the B Corp logo, you know that's not BS, you know that's true. So there you go, easy A, you're welcome. So I'm sure you've all heard of CSR, which means corporate social responsibility. We like to say that to take it a step further and just don't even say that you're trying to be responsible. Say that you're doing this because you want to be resilient. You want your business to be relevant and you want it to stay in business because really it's what people are wanting and it's what you need to give to the consumers. And to do that, we tell companies you got to balance your purpose and your profit. And so you need to have a purpose for having your business. And also you need profit to stay in business. So you need both of them and you need to balance them. So we talk a lot to companies about they need to really have a holistic approach to their business operations. They need to consider how they are to their workers, what they're doing to customers, how they treat their suppliers, their community, and their environment. They need to look at all of this as one approach. And then we have Larry Fink, who is the CEO of BlackRock, which is the largest hedge fund, which means they have a lot of clout. And he has been putting out letters to businesses for the last couple of years. And he's basically been saying what we are teaching them or like talking to businesses about. He first came out saying society is demanding that companies serve a social purpose to prosper over time. Every company must not only deliver financial performance, but they also need to show how it makes a positive contribution to society. So this was huge to have the largest hedge fund in the world speak about this, about how a company needs to have purpose and profit. And then this year in Larry Fink's message to businesses, he says the same thing, but he takes it a step further and he says, if your companies are not taking climate action, then you're probably going to lose our support, which is very big because they hold a lot of, like I said, a lot of clout. And also other companies that are also influencing how businesses are operating is it's called the Business Leaders Roundtable. And not last year, 2019, the group of, it's 181 CEOs of all these top companies. They have this roundtable that they're called Business Leader Roundtable. And they came together and they said that, yeah, Larry Fink's got it right. We need to say that maximizing shareholder profits is no longer the primary goal of corporations if you want to survive. Now, these companies, these Fortune 500 companies that are part of this roundtable, they said this, but people are waiting to see if they're actually going to follow through with what they say. So that's something that is to be determined. We're hoping that they do, but we'll see. So that brings us to B Corp certification. Like I said before, B Corp is just like what fair trade is to coffee or what organic is to apples, but B Corp is specifically for businesses. And it's a vision that all companies realize that to be the best in the world, they have to really be the best for the world. What are they doing for the world? They're not extracting from it, they're adding to it. So the things that certified B corporations are, when they become B Corp certified, the three things that they are judged on is their social and environmental performance. So they take this assessment and there's questions about what they're doing socially, what they're doing environmentally, and there's questions about how transparent are you to your consumers, like what is on your website? Do you have some policies on there that your consumers can see what you're doing? And they're judged on accountability. Do they follow through? So the 5 different areas that a B Corp certification, what the assessment asks questions on about your company is your customers. There's about 25 questions about how you treat your customers. What do you do for them? There's also, each of these 5 categories has between 20 and 25 questions. So there's environmental questions. There's what do you do for your community? Do you have a give back program? Are you located in lower income areas? Things like that. The governance question, it talks a lot about, is your board of directors diverse? It talks about what is the pay disparity within your company between the highest and lowest paid worker. What is that percentage and why? And then it talks about your workers, like what benefits do you offer? What is the diversity of your workers? Just a ton of questions. So it takes, and this is where I was showing you all those different certifications like LEED for building or organic. This is where it took all of those certifications and it put all of the criteria into these 5 categories. So it's a very rigorous assessment that you take to become B Corp certified, and it is also verified and audited too. So who can certify? A for-profit company. It can be any size, any industry, any geographic region. And the really cool thing about this assessment is when they created it, they made it dynamic. So when you first register for to go on the assessment, it asks you 3 questions, and based on those 3 questions, your answers will dynamically flow to your custom to fit your company. So the 3 things are what region are you headquartered, how many employees, and what is your industry? So based on that, everything becomes dynamic. And you can be any legal structure, and you have to be your company has to be over 1 year old, just because they base a lot of their questions on what you did the year prior. And then they do have this special pending B Corp program where if you're a startup and you really want to be, you know, you're going to want to be B Corp certified after you've been in business a year, but you really want to get a jump start on it, you can apply to become a pending B Corp. It doesn't really mean as much as the B Corp certification, but it just means that you're like on a waiting list to get in there. So who are the B Corps that you might recognize? There are over 3,000 certified B Corps in the world. They're in over 60 countries, 150 industries. And you might recognize, of course, Ben & Jerry's, The Body Shop. You might have recognized Kihi. They have those big semi trucks driving down the road. I see them a lot. There's quite a bit. In the malls, you might have recognized Athleta. They are like a workout clothing company, and they have these big B Corp logos on their storefront windows. Eileen Fisher is also a clothes store. Excuse me. Cabot Cheese, you might have seen that in Publix. But there are a lot of them. And let's go to next. Danone, who is the yogurt company. They are the largest, excuse me, they're the largest B Corp that we have. And that's because they have so many different subsidiaries. And their goal is to certify each of their subsidiaries so that eventually their whole organization is B Corp certified. So here's where it gets a little tricky, because you have a parent organization, like we'll take Danone, like I was telling about. Some of these parent organizations have different subsidiaries, and just because the parent is certified, it doesn't mean that all their other organizations are, and they have to do them each individually. And so, like you can see Unilever, they bought Ben & Jerry's, they bought Seventh Generation, and all three of those are B Corp certified. And oh, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. But one thing that we need to watch out for is a parent company wanting to buy up B Corps to make their brand look better. So like for an example, Nestle bought up one of our Florida B Corps, Garden of Life, who is, they're like a nutrition company. Nestle bought them, and they're buying other B Corps, and they're trying to make themselves look better because they have their company has a lot of negative press. And so that's something you got to watch out for with these parent companies buying up other smaller ones. Here's a video we did an event a couple of years ago at Eileen Fisher, and we asked a student from Rollins College to come and speak about what she thought of B Corps, because she was just like you and was in a class just like this and was learning about B Corps. And so she had to do a presentation on it. And so we asked her to speak, and this is what it's super short. It's really cool what she says.
It's a sticker that says, I've done the work. You know, I've made the improvements. I've gone above and beyond. And I'm interested in what it looks like to model business that is well. And I'm interested in sustaining my business model. I know what the future looks like, and I'm already there. It's a sticker that says, it's hard to be a B corporation, but there's a network, and Patagonia is in my network, and you know, Ben & Jerry's is in my network. So I'm among elites of the industry.
So she was just basically talking to the audience that didn't know what B Corps were, and she was explaining it in her way, which was pretty cool. So companies, the biggest question is, why do I need to certify? Why do I need to become B Corp certified? So there's, in the next slides, we're gonna go into like a more detail of these 6 different reasons. So the first reason is to maintain your mission. when you start a company, you have a social enterprise that you start. You want to believe that your mission is going to stay with the company forever, but you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't know if a change in management or a change in ownership is going to happen. And then with that comes someone that comes in and says, well, we're not going to spend all of our money buying organic food because it costs too much. We're going to stop doing that and just buy normal food. And then little by little, your mission gets taken away. So one reason that companies become B Corp certified is to keep their mission there. They have to keep it. Something that I wanted to explain a little bit too is B Corp certification, and then there is something called benefit corporation. So they're not the same, but B in B Corp certification does mean benefit, so that's why it's confusing. So a certification is just that. You take a test, you get certified if you score enough points. That's the certification. But a benefit corporation is a legal structure. So you can start a company, and instead of calling it a sole proprietor or an LLC, you can call it a benefit corporation. And it's recognized by the state that you live in. So the reason that you would want to become a benefit corporation is to protect your mission and to make sure that there is no one that's going to come into your company and change your mission. It's like a mission lock. And you have to say in your articles of incorporation, you have to say your mission, the reason that you're starting the company this way, and then that stays with it forever. A certification, you can get the certification, but every 3 years you have to recertify, and you might lose that certification. So having your company as a benefit corporation lasts forever until you dissolve your company. The certification every 3 years gets recertified. So that's a little distinction between the two.
Jennifer, before you move on, may I add something?
Yes.
Thanks. So 2 things on benefit corporations. Florida does have it. So there's 2 things that are important to think about. First is the tax structure. As you can see, it's taxed like a C Corp or an S Corp. So it's a lot of times it's not really practical for a social enterprise startup or a social impact company startup to take that step just because of the tax structure and the expense. It's kind of out there. What I'm personally hoping is that benefit corporation will develop over time. But probably the biggest one is something that Jennifer said, and I just wanted to put an exclamation point on it. Right now, if you take investment and you're an S Corp or a C Corp, you have a fiduciary responsibility to return the maximum amount of profit as defined as monetary profit. So if you're a benefits corporation, that actually gives you protection in your incorporation. So when somebody invests in you and says, to use Jennifer's example, purchasing organic is a waste of money and it's diminishing our bottom line. You can point to your articles of incorporation saying you knew that when you came in, and it protects you as the founder and the board to stay on mission. So sorry about that, Jennifer. I just thought it was worth a little more.
Yes, and that was good. Thank you for adding all that. And yep, that makes total sense. So another reason, we're on reason number 2 of becoming a certified B Corporation. Oh, and there's a picture of Athleta's, one of their storefront windows. If you've seen them in the malls, they're very vocal about their B Corp certification. Number 2 is the competitive advantage. It especially now more than ever, people really want to do business with companies that are doing good. And this logo, it differentiates these companies from the others. And Athleta is at the forefront of this. 3, you can benchmark your performance against other companies. So you can, all these scores that companies get they're publicly available, and you can see, like, you can go on the B Corp directory and look up Patagonia and see, well, when they first certified, they got a 107, and maybe 50 of those points were environmental points, maybe 20 of them were governance points. You can see where they are on their scorecards, and you can see every 3 years when they recertify how much they've improved, or how much maybe they didn't improve, but they still made that 80-point threshold, because you have to get over 80 points to become certified. So you can not only benchmark your company and how your company is doing, because that's really good data for your shareholders too, is to tell them all these different data points that you can get from this assessment that you take. So benchmarking is number 3. Number 4, attracting talent. And this is one of my number 1 things I tell companies. People that are looking for a job, people that have a sense of purpose, they want to work for companies that share the same values as them. And because these values are shared together, it's very, B Corp companies and companies with purpose have a very low turnover rate with employees. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but every time a company has to hire and fire employees, or when there's turnover, each employee, I think they put a dollar amount on just training up new employees, and it's like over $3,000 every time you have to add a new employee and train them up. It's a huge expense. And so this is one of a really big return on investments, is keeping your employees. And also engagement too. They've done a lot of surveys, and they found that employees, and these surveys were done through all the workers, the employees, and the employees that work for B Corps, 65% of them say that they're engaged most of the time at work, and they really like what they're doing. And then when they surveyed workers from other companies that didn't have a purpose, they were like, maybe 30% of my day I'm engaged. The other percent I'm talking to my coworkers, I'm on Facebook, I'm doing this other stuff. So companies with purpose really get the bang for their buck with their employees. This is a video. It's from the same Eileen Fisher event that we had, and it's the same speaker. And here she's talking about why she would like to work for a B Corp.
I need you guys to hire me because I know that strategically, hey, the world's changing. My generation, we value things like social consistency. We care where you're spending your dollars on. We care what your supply chain looks like. We do our research. We look at, where are you funding? What are you doing with your employees? I like Google because they have a LEED certified building, and they're intentional about the environment we provide for their workers. These are things my generation cares about, and they will care about it when they come and apply at jobs at your offices.
It's really cool when business owners can actually hear it from the generation coming up, because they're the workforce that's coming up, and hearing it right from their mouths is incredible. The 5th reason to become a B Corp certified company is they join a network of companies that are just like them. And it's really cool how all of these B Corp companies come together and help each other. Like, I can get on the phone and call a company over in Europe and say, hey, I've got a group of students that they're helping a business become B Corp certified, but they're really stuck on finding a policy about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Do you have one of those that you can share? And they're like, yeah, here. And they email it off to you. I mean, this network is very incredible, and how helpful everyone is to each other is just something that I've never seen before. And I think it's a really big perk. So you guys, here we are, we're talking about you. You guys are the change makers. You're coming up, you're learning about businesses, different types of businesses. Basically what you're doing in college is learning what kind of company you want to work for or what kind of company you want to start. So it all comes from you. And so you're one of the big focuses that you're one of our focus at Florida for Good. So we work with universities across Florida. Right now we're working with UF. They're our flagship university. We also work with USF and Lynn University. And these three schools have programs in place right now where students earn credit for a whole semester. And what they do is they take that whole semester and they partner with a company. And this company wants to become, they either want to measure their impact or they want to measure their impact and become B Corp certified. So the companies work with students, the students help them get 80 points or more on the B impact assessment, which will enable them to get certified if they want. And so UF does that. Right now they're in their spring cohort. They have, I think, 60 students signed up for it, and they've got 12 companies that they split into groups. The students split into groups, so they're helping the 12 companies. At UF, they're in their spring cohort right now. They have, or USF, they have 7 companies, and they have, I think, 35 students that have split into groups. And then Lynn is they're our baby. They're taking one company through, and they have a student group. It's kind of like not an elective, but it's like an extracurricular thing that they do on their own time is they help this company through the impact assessment. And the cool thing about UF is they have an enrollment process where any student in any university in Florida can enroll in that program to be a part of that Business for Good lab. Here's a video of a student after one of the cohorts, just telling about her experience.
My name is Alexandra Nodal, and I'm in the Master of Science in Management program here at UF, and I'm set to graduate this summer, so I'm very excited. In my undergrad at USF, and I studied health communication, so I feel very comfortable with the healthcare side of everything, but now I look forward to coupling this knowledge with my business skills that I've learned here at the University of Florida. So I look forward to launching my career in healthcare within this summer. And then, so before this class, I honestly didn't know much about B Corps, but I feel strongly that business should be viewed with a very holistic mindset as you keep in mind the employees, the social aspect, as well as, of course, the community environment. So I look forward to being able to incorporate this into my future career in healthcare management. And a special shout out to Frank, who was a company partner, and they were such a pleasure to work with, and I really enjoyed this experience. Thank you.
So it was really cool to see all the different majors and different sectors these students have came from to learn about B Corps, and now they're going to take that out into their world. And it's just really cool of who they reach. This video is what the Lynn University students put together. And I think it's really cool to show this to you guys, just to let you know like how they set up their program. And this was the launch of it.
I'm director of the lab. My mandate was to make a difference, hit the ground running, and start something that's never been done here in Lynn before, and that's look at social impact. And you are all here is to hear from these people here. Let's find out about B corporations and see if that's something that we want to get behind. This is Jared, who's the moderator. Next to him is Beata from Eileen Fisher, Jennifer from Florida for Good, Amy from Clean the World, and Jake from the University of Georgia.
There's about 3,000 certified B Corps globally. Half of those in the United States, half of those outside the United States. But to be a B Corp, you have to be third-party verified. So you have to credibly be doing what you say you're doing. And that's proven about by an impact assessment that you take that a non-for-profit B Lab provides, which is free and confidential.
I tell you that we live our culture. It's not something that is 9 to 5 when we go home and we're no longer a seasonal employee. Every single one of us is an ambassador to a mission, a life-saving mission.
Yeah, like I just started this organization called Florida for Good, and I started it because Florida does not have a hub. It doesn't have information for businesses to learn how to become good, to learn about B Corp certification. So I started Florida for Good. I'm working for a B Corp and a non-B Corp, night and day different.
I joined before we became a B Corp, but it was for us as a company a natural thing to do because Eileen Fisher, who is a person who is alive and who is our co-CEO, she has always been for sustainability, and especially in the fashion industry, that is so important to sustainability. So becoming or joining the B Corp movement was a very natural thing for us.
We came to B Corp because that's a way for our students to get involved in conversations. So if somebody asks them what their experience is, they can at least coming out of MBA to speak to something.
There is absolutely no reason businesses should be quiet out.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
So that is our Lynn University program, and we're very proud of them. So now we're here with Florida for Good. And so I'm going to tell you a bit about what we do here. So number one, we are a networker. We make sure that all of these companies that are doing good aren't in their own little silos. We're making sure that they're talking to each other, that they're networking, they're sharing best practices. So we talk with all of our B Corps, which are, when I say all, there's about 20 of them here in Florida, which is kind of low, but higher than Tennessee. but like Colorado has hundreds, we have 20. And that's one thing we're working on. That's one of our goals. And that's why we partner with universities, is to increase the number of B Corps. And so we're a connector. So the second thing that we focus on besides being a networker is our academia. So I've already talked to you about that, our partnerships with universities. And then the last thing that we focus on, and something that's really hard, and it's going to take a long time, but we're still working at it, we're still pounding away, is trying to get local and state government to offer incentives to responsible companies, to give incentives to social enterprises, to B Corps. And it doesn't have to just be a tax incentive. It could be something as simple as a procurement preference, in saying that, like, the city of Orlando will buy services from B Corps, and they will be one of our preference, these will be our preferential companies that we'll buy for. It's just something that will get more businesses to actually measure what they're doing already, because there's a lot of good companies out there. We just don't know about them. And it helps them measure what they're doing and say, hey, I'm doing this. I want that incentive too. So they get recognized for it. So those are the three things we do at Florida for Good. And I wanted to play this next video. It was our launch. We have different chapters throughout Florida. We've got like a Central Florida for Good, a Tampa Bay for Good. And this was a video from our Central Florida for Good launch. And it talks, there's a bunch of people that like give testimonials, so I like to play it for students. This just shows our different regions.
thank you all for being here. This is a wonderful turnout for our Central Florida for Good launch. It's great to see this many faces really caring about using business as a force for good.
And we wanted to transform our community into one of the cleanest, healthiest, and sustainable cities in the Southeast.
If you really sit down and think about any issue that affects people, which is everything, and question everything, look at all sides, you can only come to really one conclusion, and that's that you need to operate your business from a values perspective.
If I were to have a B Corp bumper sticker, it would say, leveraging the power of business as a force for good.
We collaborate and network with as many B Corp members as possible. We find ourselves as part of a great network of trying to do social good as a business community.
Business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, innovators, investors, bankers, and consumers who are changing the definition of what it means to run a successful business. And it's not just happening right here, it's happening all over the world.
They don't want to just make money. There's nothing wrong with making money, conscious capitalism, but we also want to feel good about that. And I think that that's something that means a lot.
We're using business as a force for good.
For me, it means doing what is good for not only the environment, for other people, for empowering women, empowering your community to do what is good for the community.
With a benefit corporation, it is a wonderful feeling. I think all of the employees are excited to work there, and there's a lot of good energy. And when there's good energy in your business, it's going to become more profitable.
Florida for Good was created to help you find your alignment, where you can thrive and create a positive impact at the same time. That may involve you becoming a certified B Corp, which has been called the most socially responsible form of business, or it may involve you adopting the conscious capitalism philosophy.
Conscious capitalism is a movement of like-minded people that are looking to use business to elevate humanity.
It's very important to have a business mentality that also respects the environment and also cares about people from a social standpoint. This is really what the true bottom line is. And making sure that you're helping people and healing the planet and growing prosperity in communities is the only way to have successful businesses.
I let my customers know that I'm a responsible company with my branding, my marketing, and just everything that we do. I think, the stories behind my company, the customer feedback, the lives that we've touched, the stories that we've shared, just explain and in its way sum up what we do to show that we're doing good.
Central Florida for 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 good. Central Florida for good.
Central Florida for good.
Central Florida for good.
So I wanted you guys to see that there are so many businesses already in Florida that are doing good, and you could see that place was packed. So their businesses are out there. And then this brings us to my company that this is what I do on the weekends and at night. This is my passion, and it flows right into my work with Florida for Good and with B Corps. So I structured World for Good as an S corporation, which enabled me to have it also be structured as a benefit corporation in the state of Florida. So this means that I'm not a nonprofit, I'm a for-profit company, but I am a social enterprise. And my main focus with World for Good is helping people that are at risk or survivors of human trafficking. So what I do at World for Good is I partner with nonprofit centers all over the globe. And these centers they collect fabric that from clothing manufacturers that would have been thrown into a landfill, but they grab up these remnants that are still very, it's good fabric, and they employ people that are at risk or survivors of trafficking, and they basically just love on these people. They help teach them skills. They help them open a bank account. They help get their children into schools. They basically give them all the tools necessary to never, ever be in a situation like they were before. And just doing this gives them confidence, and it gives them a way of life. So my role in this, I have the smallest role. They do all the hard work. All I do is I buy inventory from them. So they make these beautiful bags. And what I do is I buy inventory, I sell the bags here in the States, and then my profit that I make goes right back into those nonprofit centers that are employing all of these people. So the more bags that I can sell means the more money that goes back into these nonprofit centers so that they can employ more people. And that's what we call a circular economy. And it just goes round and round, and more people are helped over and over again. So that is the end of my presentation. I have, and Mark, how many minutes do we have left?
About 10.
Okay, so I'm here for questions, and if you don't have any questions, I have this really cool B Corp video I'll find it on YouTube, but I want to first honor you all for taking the time to listen to me, and I want to answer any questions.
I just have a question. Like, I know you talked a little bit about that each business has like different parameters depending on the size of like the industry and where they're located. But for the big companies, can you talk a little bit about what requires of them like to be certified as a B corporation like Unilever?
So you're wanting to know what they did to become B Corp certified?
Yeah, just because I know that it's different based on the size of the corporation. So I'm just wondering at that scale, like what it takes to become a B corporation.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because B Lab has a separate category that they put those companies into. It's called multinational companies. And they have to have a whole team at B Lab that helps these multinational companies become B Corp certified, because you're right, it's a global organization. And so they have to pull data from all over the world at all these different operational points. And it's a long process. And so, yeah, I would say it's the same exact assessment, except it's just gathering so much data and trying to compile that into one thing. And so, yeah, it's the same questions, but lots of work getting there.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, so I know you mentioned earlier how Florida has, I think you said around 20 B Corp certified companies, and then you said a state like Colorado's in the hundreds. Is there any specific reason for that? Like in Colorado, do they have some kind of incentivizing system that makes companies want to become B Corp certified as opposed to Florida?
Yeah, what's really strange about that is there wasn't any incentive. It's just because like the mentality of Colorado, like you go out there and just about everybody is so into the environment, and it's just a part of their lives and how they live their lives. So they're more into recognizing that they need to take climate action, which then leads into all those other parts of, oh yeah, I do need to learn about social justice, and I need to incorporate that into my company. They're more into it because it's a way of life. And in Florida, we're very transient, and people coming from all over, and plus we have that older generation. And so it's just like, for instance, we all know that there is sea level rise in Florida, that it really does happen and you can see it, but there's so many people that don't even believe it. And just that, so because of that mentality makes it harder for companies to even find value in becoming a B Corp certified company here in Florida. It's really sad.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
I also have a question. Do you believe that that B Corps are going to become the status quo for like all like entrepreneurial ventures?
I do because there's a lot of investment companies, because startups are, number one thing is they're looking for investment. They're looking for capital to get their companies going. And investment companies now are saying that if that they're some of their criteria that they judge of whether they want to give this company money is what they call it ESG, which is another way of saying it's environmental social governance, which is another way of saying they want these companies that they invest in to be socially and environmentally responsible. So yeah, it's basically the investment companies are forcing startups to consider this.
Honestly, that's great. Yeah, it needs to happen. I also wanted to say thank you for coming on and teaching us and presenting.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions, Emma?
I was wondering, so you work for Florida for Good. Is there other states that have like Louisiana for Good, or is it like just a Florida thing?
We were very unique. And you saw Jared Myers on the videos. He's the one that created Florida for Good. He has 2 B Corps here in Florida, which makes him like 10% owner of all the B Corps. But he, before his companies became B Corp certified, he was looking for an organization to help him learn how to make his companies more sustainable. And there was nothing in Florida. So that's why he started this organization. And when he started it, he understood that, this needs to be open to everybody. It can't just be a B Corp thing. So he made it very inclusive. And that's why it's not called like B Local Orlando or something, because all of the other states, well, not all of them, but most of them have like B Corp hubs, and they're called like B Local Atlanta, B Local Seattle, Portland. And they're very exclusive for just B Corp. So Florida is inclusive, and other states have seen us because we communicate with all of the B Local groups every month, and they know what we're doing down here in Florida. They call us, I don't know what they call us behind our backs, but they think that we're like rebels because we do things so differently down here. And so other states like Michigan, they have a Good for Michigan program. Where is that? In New Mexico. New Mexico saw our program and they want to implement New Mexico for Good over there. So it's catching on, this inclusivity of how all these great organizations are basically doing the same thing. So why don't we all just do it together?
Thank you.
Yep. While you guys are still thinking, I'm gonna pull up this really cool video I want to show you.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what kind of like, is there any like tracking of kind of like the total benefit that like B Corps bring? Like, how do we know what kind of impact they've had as a whole?
As a whole, I don't believe that there are any that I know of, any statistics or data, but I do know that Unilever is very vocal about how they have so many different subsidiaries, and some of them, they call it sustainable living brands, and then the other subsidiaries are just like normal companies that aren't certified or anything. And they publish a lot of data about how their sustainable living brands, which some of them are B Corps, have outperformed all of their other brands twice, 2 times, and 3 times, like year over year. They outperform all of their other brands a lot more. So just data like that from companies, I think is really good. And it kind of like puts like hard data in front of the public to let them know that, yeah, these B Corp brands and these sustainable brands, this is what consumers want. So yeah, nothing in, as a gigantic group yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That sounds like a good class project that we can do.
Sorry. What, Mark?
Oh, I was just trying to scare him. I said, it sounds like a good class project we can do.
Yes. Yes, do that.
Question. Can you hear me?
Jennifer, I have a question. So GRI reporting and other reporting that's out there, and like the S&P ESG index and all these kind of reporting mechanisms and rating mechanisms, how would you view these different reporting and indexes compared to B Corp? Would you consider them to be redundant, or do they all have their own purpose in place?
Yeah, that's the thing. There are so many scorecards out there and reporting tools. And actually the B impact assessment was modeled after the GRI and the ESG one. And so they took into consideration those questions. The thing with the B Corp certification is it's very holistic. So it has questions on every single aspect of your company. There's nothing you can hide from it. And every 2 years, they update their assessment to add more relevant questions. Like in their last update, they added a bunch of questions about DEI, justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion that wasn't in there already. And so every 2 years, they add questions that every business needs to consider. So I would just say it's more holistic and it's more in depth.
In GRI?
I'm not that familiar. I've never actually looked through GRI. Does it encompass all 5 of those categories?
Yeah, it's forgive me, I've always kind of thought of GRI as B Corp on steroids, essentially. Like GRI, the average GRI report costs a company about $250,000 to compile. So it's like, I was talking with the CEO of Kind Bars, and they don't do a GRI report just because it's too expensive. It is so in depth. Companies like Coca-Cola and the world's biggest companies can afford to do a GRI report. I've always looked at B Corp as something that was a lot more accessible.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never gone through GRI. That's probably why you can't really get to it unless you invest all the money.
I'm actually planning on being down in Tampa next month. Maybe I can hook around. I'll buy you a cup of coffee and I'll talk to you all about GRI.
Yes, let's do it. Good. Yep, that sounds really cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what would it take to create a partnership with FSU? Because I'm seeing you have all these partner schools, and we have a whole social entrepreneurship program here, which I'm sure a lot of the students would like to learn, what it takes to become sort of a B Corp consultant for these companies. And I'm sure not just commercial entrepreneurships in general. We are all required to take this class or are getting more and more interested in ESG. So what would it take to create some sort of program to talk with local businesses, not just in Tallahassee, but elsewhere, and get some of these students here the training to help these businesses?
I think that's awesome. And that's something that we want to do. We want to expand into other places, especially up in FSU land. And so what would it take? It would take a professor to head it up, and then it would take Mark, which would be Mark. And when you come to Tampa, I'll show you how you can be that professor.
I got to get this master's launched, and I think it'll free up some time. But yes, I'm very interested. I think it would be great. I just feel like I'm getting like a tidal wave is falling on me right now.
Yeah, and it does take a while to get implemented and launched. It's not like an overnight thing. The thing that they do in Tampa at USF is they have a company called B is for Benefit, and it's a consultancy company. And that owner actually helps USF with the students and organizing the students and getting, helping, keep everything flowing together. And she actually started off by taking the UF class as a remote class, and she didn't go to UF. She just took their Business for Good lab, and just to see how it was run, and then from there she duplicated it down at USF. So it really helps to have also a consultant person to help with it as well. But at Lynn, they don't. It's just the professor Jerry and then the students, and then they consult with me and I help them along the way. Like right now, they're looking for a new company to run through the assessment, so I'm helping them find a company. So it can go on so many levels. It can be an internship program like what USF is doing, where students could earn credit if their major allows for internships. Or it can be a full-blown class like at UF, where the whole semester they get that semester credit for. Or it could be like Lynn, where you don't get credit at all. It's just something that you're doing on your own time. So it can take so many forms, and I'm happy to have those conversations with you all on that. Can I show the video now?
So class is actually over. So yes, you can show the video. How long is it, Jennifer?
4 minutes.
Okay. So if you need to go, totally understand. If you want to, if you have a few extra minutes, hang out, and then we'll finish it up.
Chairman of Legacy Vacation Resorts, a certified B Corporation. Our company boasts 8 locations across Florida, Colorado, Nevada, and New Jersey. As a B Corporation, our mission is to provide you, your family, and friends with lasting memories and a unique vacation experience in a manner that respects our employees, our environment, and our community. That's not going to work. What's a B Corporation, you ask? A B Corporation, or B Corps as we like to call them, are companies that place importance on the triple bottom line of people, the planet, and prosperity. B Corps are a new type of company. They use the power of business to solve social and environmental problems. And I don't just mean the power generated through 100% renewable energy, like our resort in New Jersey. A B Corp to a company is what the USDA organic certification is to milk, but it goes way beyond a product. Internally, we are proud of our diversity and inclusion. 60% of our workforce is ethnically diverse, 50% of our leadership identifies as female, and 100% of our employees are included in every decision. We also pay a living wage. What's a living wage, you ask? Living wage covers essential things like food, housing, and clothing. We pay over 50% more than the minimum wage to our employees. Finally, we provide scholarship opportunities, volunteer programs, and income advance and savings programs. We are one of the only United States companies to provide a cash advance to assist our workforce with financial emergencies while building their credit. How big of a deal is it being a B Corp? Bigger than my baseball card collection. Some big name B Corps you've heard of that are part of the movement: Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, Seventh Generation, Athleta, and 3,200 more around the world. What does being a B Corp mean to our guests? Well, for one, it means offsetting the carbon footprint of your entire stay when you book directly with us. We realize until we are operationally carbon neutral, we need a little help along the way. That's where carbon offsetting comes in. Carbon footprints are created every day, from watching this video on your phone to sitting in one of our hot tubs eating Ben & Jerry's. taste sustainable. To offset our carbon footprint and the footprint from your stay, we support efforts to plant trees and recapture carbon, thus achieving carbon neutrality. Plus, we donate 1% of our revenue to environmental organizations in support of our 1% for the Planet commitment.
Thanks, Legacy.
We have multiple electric vehicle chargers at each resort, and each hotel check-in receives a reusable water bottle. Plus, there are recycling bins around each property. So why are we doing this? For a cool marketing ploy to ultimately make more money? No. My career started in an unethical and unsustainable workplace, and I wanted to create the complete opposite of that. No garbage here. Our passion is to provide a variety of options for travelers of all ages, from beaches to mountains to world-class attractions and theme parks, all in comfortable, inviting, and sustainable accommodations. But we're always looking to do more. If you have an idea or have any questions, email me at jared@legacyvacationresorts.com. And don't think that since we got our B Corp certification that we're going to rest on our laurels. It comes up for renewal every 3 years, and we take our certification very seriously. To those that have not yet stayed with us, we can't wait to welcome you. And to our returning guests, we look forward to seeing you again soon.
See, that was totally worth it, right?
That's fun.
Thank you, class. I really enjoyed seeing you all, and Mark has my information if you want to talk about bringing it up there to you, bringing a program up there. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jennifer. I know they all got a lot out of it, and it was probably really eye-opening to them. So again, like Adrian was saying, that everyone at FSU or everyone at the Jim Moran College has to take the sustainability and social sustainability course now. And it's a growing interest in our college. So I really appreciate you supporting our efforts in ending the conversation that we're having here.
My pleasure. Thank you all.
So I'll touch base. I'd seriously love to connect with you. I don't know if you're doing any face-to-face while COVID's going on. If you're not, okay, yeah, we'll work it out. But thanks, everyone. We will see you actually in class on Thursday, and we'll have a lot more discussion about this and then all the great stuff that we're doing in class. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Bye.
All right, bye guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.